Hey, Fran. Good to see your face. All right. So, we are officially working our way through the sutras. I did something this morning that I try my best not to do. I opened my phone before I got out of bed. Because right before I went to bed, I was watching the news, and there's some stuff going on in our world. What I needed this morning when I first kind of logged in and saw what was going on in the world, which is conflict, escalating conflict. I got online and I searched for a teaching by my teacher, Jack Kornfield, who I guess he would call himself Buddhist. He's been studying Buddhism and teaching Buddhist practices for years. He's also got Jewish heritage. And what's really interesting to me is in my teacher training program, which he's leading, we have a lot of very awake people in the program, and we have people from all over the world. Like literally, there's like 1,000 people in this training, and they're from everywhere because it's online. And they've been asking our teachers to help us work with our own struggle and sort of how do we work with students when there's so much conflict and very divisive conflict and all the things. And he didn't respond for a long time, which I think is a sign of wisdom, to not just like react and say, I've got to do something, but to just really spend some time with it. And he put out a blog post and has done some stuff about it. And his message is, everybody wants me to take a stand, and I take a stand for peace. Which is really what this whole practice is about. Is, in my training, there's some questions that come up when we have the interactive sessions that are like, well, what are we teaching? Like, how do we describe like what we're doing? Like, there's a lot of kinds of meditation. What's our meditation? Which officially is mindfulness. Like, that's the word. But what he and Tara both say is we're teaching loving kindness and compassion. Loving kindness, which is two words, loving and kindness. And they're not necessarily easy in all the situations, right? People do things and we don't necessarily feel kindness towards them, but I feel like that's our practice. Yesterday I went to a training for something called Camp Aloha, which is a grief camp for kids that I'm going to be a part of for the first time. Hospice hosts it every May, first Sunday in May. And the leader of our grief program, her name's Betsy, she told this funny story that really embodies loving kindness to me. She said, she's probably a little bit older than me, and she said, just in the last probably 5 to 10 years, I really started to understand compassion. This is a psychotherapist who counsels people on grief, right? Like, she's a professional, and she's like, I'm just starting to get this. And she said, everybody is hurt. Like, her years of counseling people, she's learned this. Everybody's hurt. And she said, and where it shows up for her in like really cultivating loving kindness is when she's driving. And when that person has road rage, her reaction only in the last 5 to 7 years is, I'm sorry you're hurting. And that takes cultivation to actually feel that when somebody's coming at you. And it might be a stranger in a car, but it might be somebody that lives in your own house. It might be an entire culture. And the thing that we all want most in my belief system is we want to feel safe and not afraid. We want peace. So these practices, like, that's the ultimate goal, is to find enough peace in ourselves that we can also be a vessel for that in the world. This sutra, which is Sutra 214, the translation says, the karmas bear fruits of pleasure and pain caused by merit and demerit. The karmas bear fruits of pleasure and pain caused by merit and demerit. So the word pleasure, I mean, there's lots of ways to interpret that. Like in my life right now, it's more like peace. Peace or pain? Peace is pleasurable, right? And it's caused by merits or demerits. So we can do things that are meritorious and cause good in the world, or we can do things that are demeritorious that cause suffering for others. And when we're hurt, we hurt people unless we have practiced enough to say, okay, I'm hurt. I don't want to cause more hurt for myself or others. You guys all know this, that when you hurt somebody, there's like an instantaneous gratification that might come, but afterwards it doesn't feel good. I believe that unless you're a sociopath and like somehow chemically, like your brain doesn't have the capacity for really understanding the impacts of our action on others, like we really do want peace. And the way to get that is to generate peaceful thoughts and feelings for ourselves and for others. Right? And this could devolve into a philosophical discussion of like, is this true in every single case? And that's not the point. Like, we don't need to argue self-defense or like any of that stuff. We really do want peace. I believe that. And the way to get that is to be an example of that. So we're gonna do metta this morning in the name of generating good karmas. Mary, please share before we start.
I was reminded of something that you said probably 10 years ago or so. And it was early on in the days of the studio. And it was when I was coming to a 4:00 class after work and having to get everything settled at school and then racing over in my car so I could be there for my yoga class. And it was something that you had said about other people driving. And the fact that, when somebody passes you and you're thinking that's unsafe and why are you doing this and why, what a jackass, you should think of, oh my gosh, I wonder what they're going through and what, and it's the idea of compassion for somebody else rather than just being pissed off that they have annoyed you. So that stuck with me, and here you are bringing it up again.
Yeah, there's no new truths. Truth is truth. Yeah, I mean, and there's really not much new in what I offer for meditation. We're gonna do metta. Like, this is the practice. Like, it's not about making meditation exciting. It's about like just recreating the things that we need over and over again so that the pattern is deeply grooved into us. And so that I'll speak a little bit to what Hollywood and I were talking about before class started. She's having to ask for help right now because she's not able to do what she usually is. And we need to practice that too. Like all of these things, we need to practice because there's in the study that we're doing of the sutras, there's the three gunas and there's the kleshas and there's all of these things that have been around as long as humans have been around that trick us into thinking there's something different than love and peace that we're seeking. And really, it's really simple. Kindness and compassion. So we're going to practice kindness and compassion. And that looks like a metta practice. What I'd like to just offer before we start is metta can be very simple. It's repeating three phrases that give you a sense of safety and give you a sense of sending that sense of peace and love to others. The traditional phrases that I first learned were, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I live in peace. Those are great. Some people have problems with the word happy. It's like a weird word for some of us. Like, I don't want to be happy. I just want to be, I don't know, insert your own word. Content. May I be safe is a word that I use often. May I be safe. So I'm going to invite us into the practice, and I'm going to invite you into a little inquiry for a moment at the beginning to come up with your phrases. May I be. And then we're going to send them to other people. Because ultimately, I feel like if we are surrounded by people that are also embodying the things I'm striving for, like maybe we're all working on it together. So, please take your posture, the one that makes you good for your practice. When you're situated, close your eyes. Just allow yourself to take a few moments to sense into your physical body. Connect to what's actual. Notice your breath. For me, the breath is a really good anchor to come back to if I get distracted or sort of triggered or wander off. You might have a different anchor. Sense into what you want to cultivate for yourself right now. And then form it into a may I be or may I feel statement. May I feel safe. Maybe there's a second statement. May I be kind. If you'd like to pick a third statement, may I be a source of peace. Anything that helps you cultivate loving kindness and compassion. Start with I statements, generating some goodness inside. If you feel grounded and good, start to send your same wishes to another human, or maybe a pet. Just picture another being in your mind's eye and send them loving kindness and compassion. Now picture somebody in your mind's eye that causes some struggle for you. Somebody that's hard to love. Without self-righteousness, let them know that you're sorry they're hurting. Just your energetic sense of, I'm sorry that you hurt. Send them the same loving kindness. Without force, without making them roam. We'll finish the practice by sending these same feelings to all beings. May all beings feel safe, may all beings be kind. And may all beings live in peace. Take a bigger breath. One more time, nice kind of big clearing. You're welcome to open your eyes. Comments, insights, questions?
I have a comment. I really love the metta meditation, and it's how I go to sleep at night. When I get in bed and I'm ready to turn my brain off, I do a metta, and that usually works.
Yes. It's good stuff. And thank you for sending it out on a regular basis. I think it actually makes a difference.
I always think of it as throwing a stone in the water and doing the ripple. So you start with yourself and then you work your way out to everybody, all beings.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds a little bit like, like prayers when you're a kid. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters, and then, whoo, to everybody.